Steve the amateur historian.
Hi, Steve, the amateur historian. Every day of my life is becoming overtaken by film work of some sort, whether I'm finishing my feature that I'm doing or I'm getting hired on to do something else or hired on to do another something else. I'm not gonna have a day off for like 2 weeks. But that's good. I needed to get back into this mindset because I've been kind of evading it for honestly the last 2 years. Even with all the vlogging I've been doing, I've been ignoring my true passion quite a bit recently. There's a lot of landscape work going on around here. Anyway, I've been doing more vlog videos recently about kind of this one particular period in my life where I was just kind of lost and didn't know what I was doing because I was kind of restarting. It's this period from like summer of 2010 to like summer of 2012. I had a relationship that was like the biggest thing I'd ever had, and then that fell apart only to be rekindled again. But I was doing a lot of weird, stupid stuff at that time, and I've been vlogging about it because, you know, it's in the past now. A lot of it is very easy to laugh about now. But pretty much what happened was I always was going to be a writer. That's what I was going to do for a living. You know, first was an NBA basketball player, then it was a writer. I started college. I went all the way through high school planning on being a writer. I started college with the intention of being an English major. I went to Clackamas Community College. Then 2009 I transferred into the University of Portland. I'm still nostalgic as hell about that place. And I joined as a English major. I'm sorry. Major itch in my eye. Anyway, I went to University of Portland as an English major. And then because of a snafu, entirely their fault, in their financing, they ended up taking away like $1,000 of my financial aid, and I needed literally every penny of that financial aid, so I had to drop out. I mean, I didn't find out about this till about 5 weeks before school started, and I'm supposed to just find $10,000 out of the blue. It wasn't gonna happen. So I ended up dropping out, and I was kind of lost. Because it was like, I'm done going to college to become an English major. I've been doing that for years. I've invested enough money into it. And even when I finally decided, you know, I took a year off from school, and then when I finally decided that I was going to go back to school, literally, you know, they have that thing where it's like, oh my God. They have that thing where it's like, you know, they open up to sign up for classes. You know, it's like midnight. Boom, classes open and everyone signs up and the servers all go down because, you know, at a minimum, a couple thousand people are all signing up for classes at one time, so of course the servers are going to go down. But even then, like 11:59, I was sitting at my computer ready to sign up for classes, and I didn't know what I wanted to major in. I was still going back and forth between a few things. I was considering criminology, which I changed my mind about when I realized you can't just become a criminologist. There's a lot of groundwork to getting there. So literally the clock switched to midnight and I said, I'm going back to school for film. I'm finally gonna actually like go to school for it. I'm gonna major in that, which ended up being a good decision on my part. I'm glad I did it. And I think I knew deep down that's what I wanted. But anyway, this was just a very confusing, lost period in my life where I was young enough, I was old enough to really start having to kick myself in the butt to start doing something with my life. But I was also just young enough and just naive enough to do some just really oddball things. And part of it was trying to get new jobs in these just stupid, ridiculous, crooked situations. But another thing was, here I am, I'm almost 25. This is before I got together with my girlfriend the first time. So I've this guy that for, practically his whole life, and he's almost 25, has been single. And I'm starting to get, well, not starting, I've been desperate for years to turn that around, but I haven't really done anything about it. So I randomly decide on a whim one day to post an ad, online, like, trying to hook up and date online. You put this, posting up, hey, I'm Steve, and I'm like this, and I wanted this, and da-da-da. I don't even want to imagine how corny the posting was that I placed. I don't remember what it said at all. And a few responses came through. So a lot of them were just, fake. Like, oh wow, you sound super hot, let's bang. But nothing much really happened. Until I got a response from this one girl. Her name started with a C. I don't even remember what her name is anymore. It was Cassie, Kaylee, something like that. And she responded, and it was like, wow, you seem like a really cool, genuine guy. And I'm like, okay, this chick sounds okay. Let's just see what happens. Mr. like no experience in reading signs, relationships, any of that stuff. So I reply back. We're kind of sending messages back and forth. We decide to escalate things by actually calling each other. So she's like, oh yeah, you can call me tonight, we can get to know each other more. And so I call her during the night. This is like spring 2011, I think. This is, March, April, May 2011, somewhere in that area. And we get on the phone, we start talking, and I'm so naive at this point. I'm still in that mindset of like the super nice guy mode I was in high school, which was any girl who actually talked to me wanted to date me, or I would be worried that any girl who talked to me wanted to date me. That was really where my mindset was all the way through high school, or all the way through school in general. And I was still kind of in that mindset. So there was like this, and I was desperate, and I was lonely, and I'm almost 25, and there was so many red flags that I just ignored. And so we start talking, and I notice she's got kind of this whiny voice, which, that's not a character flaw. But I'm kind of noticing that as we're talking, that, and of course I'm ignoring it. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. No, you're being a dick. Don't even think about that. I'm noticing that her kind of whiny voice kind of goes with her personality. And she waits to tell me after we've sent multiple messages to each other, discussing how we are and who we are. She then waits till we're on the phone to tell me that she has a baby. And I understand that happens. And I tried to be chill, like, oh, you have a kid, cool. Like walking into a minefield. And I noticed, because I'm nervous, I don't know how to talk to girls, I don't know how to flirt with girls at all. And so I'm really trying, I have no experience, and I'm trying to be cordial, I'm trying to be nice, and it just feels like every word I'm saying is just random stuff fumbling out of my mouth. I just have no clue what I'm saying, I have no coordination, and I'm just trying to be nice, and I'm trying to, be kind and concerned to connect with her. I obviously recognize that she's a young woman who's in a new position of having a child. She tells me pretty early on, she had this baby with her last boyfriend. He was a piece of shit. He's no longer in the picture. And now she's, a single mother trying to process forward in life with her child and looking for a good guy to hopefully share that life with. And hopefully by now, 7.5 years later, she's found someone, or at least found happiness. But she's one of those people, and as an introvert, I can't stand these people. I hated them when I had to deal with them in high school. I hated them in college. I hate them when I have to work with them. She was one of those people that had to disagree with everything you said, even if her retort to that was to essentially repeat back to you what you just said. It was like, I don't know, they can't handle you telling them something. They have to be the ones to tell you. So like if I said something about how, oh yeah, I mean, this was motherhood, I'm guessing motherhood's kind of like this, or you're kind of like that. And then she'd be like, well, no. And then she would repeat back to me what I just said to her. Like she couldn't handle that I was making an observation about what motherhood might be like to her since she is the mother. I mean, which I guess is fine, but I can't stand people that just have to like nitpick your every sentence. And I'm just noticing that as it's going along. And of course, being who I was back then, instead of being like, man, this chick, I mean, I don't want to put labels on people, but this chick's kind of weird. That was what I was thinking at that time. And I should have, you know, keep talking with her, just see where it goes, but I should have just been a little bit more objective and not so much like, don't be a dick, Steve, don't be a dick, Steve, don't be a dick, Steve. And I don't know, the phone call probably lasted, it was a lengthy call. It was probably about 30 minutes. And we get through the kid stuff, and it's, the phone call's not, it's not going great, to be honest. But it's not going terribly. Like, I don't feel like she's gonna hang up on me at any given moment. But as we get to the latter portion of this phone call, this is where stuff gets just downright ridiculous. As I was in the middle of doing this vlog, some drama started happening near where I was, so it distracted me. I couldn't finish, and next thing you know, I'm at work and I'm out doing sound stuff, and now I'm finally walking home, and it's like, the sun's already setting, so a lot of time has passed. But I remember where I was in the story, so let's continue. So we get a little ways into the conversation. It's not going great, as I was saying, and it becomes very obvious that this girl is not like a lifelong religious person, but she's kind of rediscovered, or I guess for the first time discovered, her faith. And she starts asking me like religious questions, which is working fine for me. I've been going to church for 5 years to this point, and I'm really trying to delve into it and become a better man, better human, a better Christian. And so that's a positive to me as she starts transitioning to that, and she's talking about, all that stuff you talk about when you talk about religion, being good, the sins, but I don't freaking know. I'm a lot more tired than I was 6 hours ago, but we get to a point where she poses that question to me that, I'm sorry, I have to pause. My camera is smeared to all hell. Okay, it's better. She asks me that inevitable question. If you get into a relationship, will you have the fortitude to wait to have sex till after marriage? And I'm sitting here, admittedly, I am a, 25-year-old virgin? Sorry, it's things popping up on my screen. I feel like I'm almost doing a live vlog, so I keep having to pause for random stuff. But I'm thinking, okay, I'm a 25-year-old virgin at this point. So as much as you'd think that would make me uber desperate to have sex, I wasn't that desperate, to be honest. I more wanted the relationship. I wanted to have what I saw all these other people having that I just couldn't get over the hump to do. So I'm like, yeah, sure. Not even really thinking about it that much. I was like, yeah, sure, I could wait till marriage. And she's like, oh, yeah, that's a big deal to me. But the one issue for me is, like, I don't know if you've had sex before, but once you start doing it, like, the fact of the matter is, once you start doing it, you really can't stop. She was pretty much portraying it like everybody who loses their virginity becomes a sex addict, essentially. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, you're telling me you've rediscovered your faith and you're dedicated to being a good, sincere unsinful religious person. But you pretty much also are acknowledging that you're not married and that you can't stop having sex. So it was like, when I said I could wait till after marriage, it was almost like it felt like a deal breaker to this girl. Like, I'm not gonna have sex with her. But then she's posing as someone who is religious, wanting to be with a guy who will follow those Christian morals and not have sex before marriage. So it's like, well, which way are you gonna go? Or which way am I supposed to go, for that matter? And then I'm thinking, like, you just got knocked up and had a baby. Who the hell are you to start talking about good Christian values and saving sex till after marriage? So that got real weird and real confusing. I didn't know which way to go with it. And then finally, the conversation finally ended and we hung up, and I'm a little discombobulated. This chick was just all over the place. And she said, like, oh yeah, I'll text you later, call you later, whatever. And I'm like, okay, and it gets to be the next day, and I'm kind of like, even at this point, I'm finally like, I don't really know how I feel about all this. Like, but how do I cut and run? I don't really know how to handle any of this stuff yet, because I'm just so out of my comfort zone, out of my norm. And then the next day, get this, classic, she sends me a text saying, hey, very, very passive, hey, I'm sorry, but we can't see each other anymore. I'm getting back together with my boyfriend, and we can't talk to each other anymore. And I got what it was right away. She obviously figured I wasn't the guy for her at the end of the phone call, and instead of just being an adult and acknowledging that, she had to give me some bullshit about how she's re-hooking up back with her boyfriend, even though she told me over the phone the night before, hey, he's out of the picture. So all of a sudden he's back in the picture. And I'm thinking, like, even if he is back in the picture, like, you can't ever talk to me again? No, you don't want to talk to me again. You're brushing me off because I'm not cool enough for you. And you know what? It ended up being great for me, because I later found out that this girl went to the same high school as a lot of guys I worked with. She actually went to school with one of my close friends from work, and he knew her. And I told him this story, like, the week after it happened, like, and after I told him, and he was like, well, what's her name? And, back then I remembered what her name was, and I told him, and he was like, oh, yeah, dude, you dodged a bullet, because she's fucking crazy. So apparently, I dodged a bullet, and you know what? I maybe at the time needed that little extra confirmation from my friend, but in the aftermath, I was like, I should have really needed my friend to tell me this young lady was crazy. So again, I hope she's found happiness. I hope she has a healthy relationship with her kid. I hope she finds a healthy relationship with whoever the heck she ends up with, if she ends up with anybody at all. And, it was just, it was another crazy thing that came about as a result of me, just this period of my life where I was just lost and didn't know what to do. And so I just kind of started doing a lot of things that I hadn't really done before, thinking that was going to just magically change everything from the past and make everything so much better. And a lot of it was just a bunch of really stupid ideas. But anyway, that pretty much stopped me. That was like my one foray into trying to pursue someone to date, a potential future mate, by doing it through online means. And didn't do it again after that, and I certainly don't plan on ever having to do it again in the future. So anyway, guys, until next time, this has been Steve, the Amateur Historian. Be careful who you online date.